everybody. Here we are. Session something. 18? 18, I think, of In the Heart of Rage. We're going to go ahead and talk about scheduling real quick. And then we're going to introduce our players for the 18th time. Then we're going to go over a couple of technical details and move into gameplay. So, for the first thing, scheduling. The November schedule has been posted on the Discord. The last entry, which is a In the Heart of Rage entry, unfortunately, is extremely tentative because that week is Thanksgiving week in the United States of America. And I don't actually know what's going to happen any given Thanksgiving of my life because members of my family are allergic to planning in advance, which drives me to insanity and rage. So, I don't know if I will be available for that session, so that session we will play by ear. I will let you know. And if you're not available for that session, you let me know, and all will be forgiven. And if it turns out that most of us aren't available for that session, it will be canceled in advance. Okay, that's my note about November's schedule. Otherwise, it's as regularly programmed, so first and third Saturdays, we have the Blaze of Cruelty Door of Eternity double feature combo, and then second and fourth Wednesdays we have the In the Heart of Rage single serving session. So outside of that, we don't have anything else on the schedule. Principal writing has begun for Kingdom of Darkness. Hooray! So that's great. Maps are being made, writing's being done, all that kind of stuff is happening, so that's all good. Let's actually switch it. So the technical detail is first, and then we will switch over to player introductions after that. So technical details, we've started a new thing where you can spend your channel points on bonuses. These bonuses go to the session that is happening after the session you buy the bonus in. So if you are here for In the Heart of Rage, any bonuses that you purchase today with your channel points will go to a Blaze of Cruelty. Any bonuses purchased in a Blaze of Cruelty will go to Door of Eternity, and any bonuses purchased in Door of Eternity will go to In the Heart of Rage, and so on and so forth. So it helps you if you go to the other games, or at least lurk in them idly to accrue channel points, and occasionally purchase a bonus for yourselves from the prior session. So if you guys want to buy bonuses for yourselves, you guys should show up to Door of Eternity, or at least lurk through it so that you can accrue enough points to buy a bonus from Door of Eternity. And you can help yourselves that way, you can help your fellow players, and community members can help the players at large, and this seems like a good way to get as many people involved as possible so that everyone has a tangible effect on the world. These bonuses can be used for any roll that is made. This includes a damage roll, or a initiative roll, or a saving throw, or just a check. Pretty much anything that can be rolled, you can add this bonus to it. You can even add this bonus to your allies if you really want to. And I suppose if you were feeling spicy, you could add it to your enemies. Don't know why you would do that, but I won't stop you. That's pretty much it about these bonuses. So we'll move on to introducing players. Let's go with... let's start at the bottom of the Discord and then move up towards the top. So Darrow, you're first.
I am Darrow, and I'm playing Mordecai of Rosterford, the newly bookless.
Mordecai of Rosterford, the bookless. The man can't read!
Got rid of his library card and everything.
Yeah, alright.
Done with it.
Go ahead, D, you're next.
Yeah, I am Dee, and I am playing Eliana Ver Jezebel, who is hacking up along from all of the heat they were just in, mainly because I am also hacking up along. So we'll see how that goes.
Great role playing. It's method acting. See, your character was in a toxic volcano full of terrible gases, and that makes sense for you hacking up a lung. So
Yeah, not worrying at all.
it works out. But seriously, kids, don't breathe in sulfur. Okay, Lee, go ahead.
I'm Lee. I'm playing Ben. The debookener. Ben is anti-literacy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is that the end?
Yep, that's it.
All right. I don't have a follow up for that. I feel stunted there. Go ahead, apostate.
I'm Apostate, and I'm playing Lillian Corbett, Quartermaster, Blood Hunter, and also secondary sulfur poisoning victim in real life as well as in this wonderful game. So we're really going to be leaning on push to talk this time.
You know, it's a wonderful piece of technology. So, but if it feels diegetic to have a coughing fit on camera, go ahead.
Throw another horrible sulfur elemental our way, and we'll see what we can do.
And last but not least, Althana. Althana, are you there? Oh, might be having.
I'm here if the mute button will work and all those fun things.
We can hear you now.
Yep, I'm here. I think I'm here.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, Althana. We were also stuck in the wonderful world, at least in game, in the wonderful world of sulfurishness. I am kind of stuck in the eyes sort of working. Luckily, cataracts have been taken out of both eyes at the moment, and I'm playing with Laya, the somewhat young wizard who is seen more trauma in her life than she deserves, but is trying to figure out how this whole military thing and adventuring and etc. works.
Alrighty, so that's everybody here. Last we left off, the 14th Bane Knights had managed to escape from the Dark Temple. They had passed through the volcanic caldera, not without incident, but without anyone dying, and they have escaped into a area that is full of life and clean air and clean water. And it was a very emotional moment for everyone because of the freedom and stuff. So let me go ahead and switch this over to our map here. You're going to notice that there's quite a few more tokens on the map here. And that is because NPCs have arrived. So, and we are going to go ahead and switch over the music. I'm going to turn the scene over to you all in just a second.
And I thought we had fixed my being encumbered, so why is Foundry saying I'm encumbered again?
Because you're still encumbered.
Okay, but we fixed that. So.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
You've got a crap load of shit that you're carrying. The big problem is you got 165 max carry. That gives you a 55 before encumbrance. Your armor is 34 pounds, and then you have 21 pounds to spread around. So 17 of those is rope and your bedroll.
Okay. So I need to lose. You need to lose a little bit of stuff.
Stuff some shit in your backpack because I did an update with those. Now the contents are weightless, but the capacity is its maximum capacity. So you can fit 30 pounds of crap in your backpack.
Yay, okay. That will help. I can do that. Because right now my backpack has nothing in it.
Yeah, get the stuffing. So I'm going to go ahead and change this over to unpaused, and the scene is yours, everyone.
I guess starting off, has anyone kind of? I'm assuming nobody is debriefed kind of with the refuge camped over this way.
The captain's been kind of hanging out with them and talking to them, so if anyone's debriefed them, the captain has.
Yeah, I think I am curious to at least get a state of the state of who they are, if they've seen anything in the area. So I would probably want to approach the captain and ask her about that.
Sure, yeah.
Ben will get in line as well to ask the captain about just like doing some scouting.
Okay. You should be able to move. God, I hope you can move.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
I am swimming through water. Okay. Yeah, I think on approach, I guess first of all, what is the captain doing? Like, is she just kind of chilling? Is she actively talking to these folks?
She has been actively chatting with these folks. She sees you coming over and she says, "Ah, this is my lieutenant, Eliana Verjezebel. Lieutenant, this is Mariah and Thaddeus of one of the nearby villages. Unfortunately, it was burned down by Rescivore flame drakes. And they both look a little ashen and a little scuffed, but they have escaped no worse for wear, which is great for them."
Yeah, and I noticed that there's a little guy over here too. Is that presumably that's a kid that's traveling with them?
He looks like them too, so
Okay.
He's
You can make best guesses.
best guess. He's probably theirs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think Eliana will kind of nod to them both on approach and kind of at the introduction and go, how long have the three of you been camping here?
A few days. Yeah, a few days. Oh, it's been maybe since early in the week.
How she'll nod and kind of ask how long has it been since your village was attacked?
At this point, the man speaks up. He says, "Oh, I want to say it was like a week and a half ago. We spent some time wandering around the wilderness, gathering ourselves, finding a safe place to camp. Then we stumbled upon this trail here and followed it up here, and seemed safe enough. So we've camped out here since then."
Well, I'm terribly sorry for your loss. If it's along the what we can always do is bring you with us where we're going, unless you're heading for points further south.
They kind of look scared at the thought of going further south.
Yeah, I figured.
uh, we don't really want to go further south if we can help it. We would like to get up to Morith or somewhere on the other side of the wall, but it's a lot of open land and it's regularly patrolled by those flyers. So we were considering heading through Scaraptica, but that's all kinds of other kinds of dangerous. So an escort would be nice, but any help you can give us would be nice. So we'll make our own way if you don't have the means to assist. And Captain says, "We'll see what our capabilities are and where we're at, and we'll let you know what we're going to be doing. And if you want to come along, we'll certainly allow you to come along with us. Though we cannot guarantee your safety in these times of war, we will do our best." And they both nod.
Captain, permission to send friendly owl to search the other bank. Keep an eye out on for any unfriendlies.
She just nods at you.
Ben will step up. Captain, I heard something about flyers.
She nods.
Do you know exactly how far we can get before they'll get into our territory? Or how far we'll move before we get into their territory?
She thinks about it for a minute and says, "Let's talk about this over there." And she points to here.
Sir.
I'm assuming this is something we can follow for. This wasn't like a private Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't indicate that it was a private conversation. She just doesn't want to talk tactical in front of the
Yeah,
civilians.
no, that totally makes sense.
You had some indecision right there, didn't you? Figure out where to stand.
Yeah,
It's
I
about
plopped
the presentation.
I plopped the friendly owl on the other side of the river. So, if there's anything of interest, I noticed there's a couple of groups of folks over there, or if anything wanders along, do let me know. Otherwise, it will just kind of keep an eye out, hanging out in some foliage there.
These troops are members of the 14th. So this is the heavy infantry squad that Eliana is in charge of, and this is the ranger squad that Lillian's in charge of. So.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but nothing that is unusual.
No. So
Okay.
the captain
Yeah,
returns.
so I'll just let it hang. Yeah, I'll just let them hang out over there then, and keep an eye out in case anything comes from that direction.
Of course. The captain returns to the conversation at once you've gathered and says, "The unfortunate tactical situation is they have the skies uncontested. We do not have the means to dissuade them from using the skies. It is essentially theirs to control, in which case we are always at the disadvantage when they know where we are, because they can attack us with these flame drakes from the sky at any given point. So, I would not trust the sky to be a safe place under any circumstances. However, there is speed that can be gained from using the air as a means of transportation if we have the means to do so. But writ large, it's enemy territory up there.
I suppose my plan is this much. If it's safe enough, I could send just a small nature spirit up in the air, figure out where we are exactly, how far we are from Hellcorth.
That shouldn't be
Then,
a problem.
From there, we have a few options. Depending on how far we are, I can conjure eagles. They can move fast. They can carry up to 4 individuals. If we were to present the flame drakes with a more tempting target headed in a different direction, the eagles, shrouded in some shadow magic, could take our VIPs to Hellcorth, depending on how far we have to travel. This plan only becomes viable once we're close enough that I can send the eagles to Hellcorth within a single casting of the spell, or if I go with them.
I see. How long does that last without you?
An hour. The eagles can move fast, though. And
How fast?
let me pull it up. do some overland calculations. Uh, 10 miles an hour.
Well, and she kind of stretches a little bit and looks over the horizon and the rolling fields and sparse forests, very sparse forests to the southwest, with the mountains to your backs in the northwest corridor. She says, well, there aren't any cities within eyesight, so that eliminates an hour's flight, she says.
Indeed. If I were to go with them,
If you were to go with them, I would be down one of my sergeants, and it would be.
we could cover 40 miles in 4 hours.
I don't know if I like that. I understand it is a plan, and it might just be an emergency plan at that. Because if we're considering splitting like that, it would have to be the most dire circumstances. I do not want to lose your utility and potentially put them in harm's way in the sky when there are perhaps safer means to travel on the ground.
It's definitely, well, something to keep in the pocket.
Yes. If we're far enough north, we might be able to consider turning fully north, though I doubt we're that far north. On the other hand, if we're about midways down the range, which is, I think if I recall correctly, we were about midways along the range when we entered that blasted corridor and temple, then we would be closer to Helcorth, and it is likely this is the Sarkoketh River. I would like your little flying spirit, or whatever it's called, to take a gander and see if that matches the geography, the local geography.
Certainly. I'll do that right now, then.
Okay. And she turns to Mythalia. Is that what you said her name was?
Yep.
And she says, to preempt you before you ask, your owl is already keeping an eye on the other side of the bank, so no need to volunteer for this task, she says. And then she turns to Lillian and says, I would like you and the youngster here to figure out what you can do with the equipment we have and the magic we have available. I don't want to run into the next fight without enchanted weapons for the squads, because the last time we got into a scrape, we lost some very fine soldiers, and I'd rather not have to replace anyone when I've got barely any replacements left available.
Understood, Captain. And just so as I have the right of it, I'm guessing typical enemy forces include the usual wee beasties we run into and flame drakes. They're breathing fire then?
Yes, flame drakes are unfortunately fire breathers. Most of them are fire breathers of some kind. Scrumgore are their line troops, as you're aware. We should be aware that there's the potential for, what are those little dog things called again? Somebody remind me what they're called.
Bone cures?
Bone chewers, yes. They tend to run with those. The big fucking Prilators, and Purgators. Those are the really bad ones. The real big, multiple-armed day ruiners. So,
Constructs.
yes. Those are the things we should keep an eye out for. They tend to roll those in. And balefire belchers, those things are like big frogs, kind of, and they belch big balls of fire over great distances. Very squishy up close and personal, but they are basically artillery.
Lots of emphasis on fire.
That's well.
Let's say, supposing I had something that might be able to take the edge off some of that fire, would you consent for its distribution amongst maybe some of our more frontline troops?
Yes, so long as it doesn't hobble us when it comes to equipment and supplies. We don't know how far we have to travel yet.
Aye. Do we happen to know if I understand the skies are lost, but are we coming up on any forested areas, any cliffs, any canyons?
We'll have a better idea after Ben's flying thingy gets a good look at the area. But if we're where I think we are, we don't have much by way of dense forests between us and Helcorth. We do have a large river crossing to contend with, though, I think.
Speaking of, what roll should I make for spirits? It's perception or survival?
It would be perception, I would say.
And I suppose, Alethon, I hadn't asked you yet as well. Would you consent to me using the +3 for this roll, just because I think it is quite important that we figure out exactly where we are?
I might as well.
Okay. There's still a +2 to use as well.
The +3 is, I mean, if we don't know where we're at, this could be a problem.
First roll, first roll.
You beat me to it. I was going to give you guidance on that.
32
Yep.
Oh, you didn't need the guidance anyway.
plus
The
Needed.
owls have advantage on perception,
Mhm.
guidance, and my perception skill.
So +4, +3. Wait. Brain stoppy. +4 is your perception skill, right?
Oh, +4, +3 is my perception skill.
Right. +4, +3. +3 from the bonus, and then the D4. Jesus. Okay. So let's go ahead and all come across this space here. Let me just fucking turn this on for you all to see. Okay. So I was gonna keep this a little under wraps. I was gonna remove stuff, but basically we're all the way down here. Now let me just switch the view over to me here. There we go. Zoom in. So your marker is this one. And over here is where the enemy is. So we have the Blade of Endless Suffering in these two spaces. We have the Scars of the Void, and we have the Blade of Endless Suffering again. Looks like the enemy has come around the mountains there. Your owl gets up there and can see quite far, so you get a good breadth of the land towards the southwest. Helcorth is pretty close in consideration, but the enemy's also pretty close. If you were to go north, you would be harried for over 100 miles towards where the gap is. And that's
Well, I mean,
unprotected land.
how far are we from Rosterford here then?
From Rosterford, you would have to cut over the Genkurt and then go through eastern Scaraptica, and it's about 225 miles.
Are we openly discussing going to Rosterford, or is this just conjecture here?
Yeah, it would be. I don't know if, but that's just fact. Fact is, it's 225 miles. You have to do a very thick river crossing. You basically go back through the swamps, and then you're in eastern Scaraptica, which is not the best place to be on a good day.
That's not great. And Morris isn't any better.
Now, going up to Morith would require you to travel open land for quite a long time.
Yeah. We don't know if there's anything else that would. You just know how far as the owl can see here.
well,
You don't know what would.
Yeah, but if the bad guys are occupied with Hellcourse, then could we get our important folks away to somewhere else and not even get their attention?
The problem is the fastest way to get our important folks somewhere safe is to get them into Hellcorth, into that teleportation circle.
Because that will take them straight to Fordeath, which is all the way up here.
And none of the other places here have teleportation circles that will get them there.
Morith is
Only
a
Hillcrest has them.
Morith is a large trade city, but it's not a a military hub. Rosterford is a basically a forge town where they do a lot of weapons testing and manufacturing. And Innersford is a farming community and agricultural testing ground for stuff. That's pretty much it in the local area. Otherwise, you're going back, and that's not an option.
So Hellcorth is really our only good choice as far as the destinations go, then, right?
Especially
So,
considering if we were to travel to Morith, that doubles the amount of time we're traveling in the open, meaning if a flame drake catches sight of us, they can travel much faster than we can, and we won't be able to outrun them on the ground.
Yeah.
What are the numbers like on them, flame drakes? Have we seen battalions of them dropping out of the sky, or have they been more solitary pack hunters?
Pack hunters you've seen.
Yeah.
They usually fly in wings of 3.
Wings of 3. All right. Okay. I might have a strategy. We need to get to Hellcorth, and I'm correct in saying Hellcorth right here is surrounded at the moment.
It's flanked.
Flanked, all right. But we have an avenue of access. Trouble is, we may be Flame Drake intercepted at that. Most likely, best place for it would be at that river crossing. Yeah.
That one?
Well,
that's what,
Yeah.
That one where the bridge is?
that's why I was like wondering, do we have any other good alternative here
Yeah.
that will not draw their attention?
Well,
Oh no! I say we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Or two sets of flame drakes with 1 stone, is it maybe?
Oh, maybe even if we're really lucky.
What are you thinking?
Right. So, twofold strategy. First of all, assuming this area will support it, we are going to make straw soldiers. We are going to just no, hear me out. We're going buff up our ranks. It's one thing if it's just our motley get along going around, but if we make our ranks look like a more sizable force, right? You know, we can put them on wagons, we can do whatever we need to do here to make our ranks look more filled out than they are. That draws the attention of the flame drakes quicker. They come down, and then we have an opportunity to get them, or at least to blind the sky. If we can cause a big enough fire, that fire will cause smoke. It'll be harder for them to see our movements. Now, I might be able to do something for a bit of heat resistance to help us, but the real thing we could do is construct mantlets to protect us from flame drakes, the hellfire belchers. They're not permanent embankments, mind you. They're not stone, but they are something betwixt us and the fire. And then with the smoke, the flame drakes will need to get in close enough, and that's when they're vulnerable. We'll hit them with heavy infantry. We'll hit them with my rangers. We'll hit them with whatever we have. Once they're down, keep them pinned and kill them. Then we won't have to worry about being harried so often anymore.
Can I roll to see how much I know about a flame drake's physiology?
sure, yeah. That would be an Arcana check.
Arcana. Couldn't be. I don't really have anything particularly good for it. Never mind.
Good try, though.
I mean, hell, I'm willing to do it, actually, just so that I know I'm not full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know shit.
You're like, they're
Ben, can I...
big and fly.
I'll guidance Lillian.
Yeah.
Guidance, beautiful. And this is one of my prey, so... Wow, look at that. You know? Shit.
That could have been worse.
It super could have.
18. So, Rescue flame drakes are, like we discussed already, they are a Three, they usually fly in groups of three. They are large, lesser demons. You're right, they wouldn't be able to see at height in the sky if you blotted it out with a lot of smoke and such from fire. You are aware that once you get close to them, they will be able to see you no matter what within a certain space. They are strong and tough, fairly smart too, and they are kind of tanky and they can melt steel with their flames. So, not something to tango with up close and personal, but you could probably do it if you had the jump on them.
And speaking of the jump, here's my question to you. These things aren't particularly good swimmers, right?
Not that you're aware of.
Okay. Right. So, river crossing means, Ben, if you had a river to play with, could you raise it up and drown them?
That wave goes. How high does the wave go? Wave goes only 10 feet. I do have a different spell. It's kind of, well, it was designed for. My mom taught me to do it to take out sparrowhawks, but technically the size of the creature isn't relevant. Just if the stronger they are, the easier it is for them to break free. Ben is describing the Earthbind spell, which has a very long range of around, with Ben's 600 feet, and concentration. Basically, I choose a creature. They make a strength save, or their flying speed is reduced to 0. Now, I think we've discussed this before, CJ, that it is a bit silly that it very carefully just lets them descend at 60 feet per round to the ground.
Yes.
In place. But I don't know if you came up with an absolute ruling on whether or not that should change. But yes, the spell as it stands, I can target a creature, force a strength save, and if it fails, it drops out of the sky.
Yeah.
At a very slow 60 feet per second.
That's the part that's silly. It's a 50% silly spell. So something for me to consider mentally for a while and until it's actually used, in which case I will make a decision, or I'll have a decision already ready. But yeah, it's
Okay. And then if they are within 30 feet of us, then we can make them make a con saving throw, or be blocked in ice and have a speed of 0. So I'm assuming that would also cause them to fall out of the sky, correct?
If they have a speed of 0, they would fall, yes.
Yeah, so Rhymes Binding Ice is also an option here if they're within 30 feet of us.
All right, we have 2 distances to work from then. That's good. That's very good. Do I know if these things are immune to poison?
They are not immune to poison as far as you are aware. They are immune to fire because they're almost entirely made of flame.
Yeah, that tracks. Okay. Well,
and worst case scenario, if we need, we also have another ranged ability we can use on them. If we're in 150 feet of them, we can happily hit them with a ball of ice or lightning or whatever element you wish to hit them with in a 20-foot sphere, which would cause them to need a dex save.
hi. I'm thinking, here's my thoughts on what we'll need to do this. Of course, we'll need to get our, dummy little burn 'em up soldiers. That's fine. We'll need to build some mantlets to provide some temporary cover. I would want to see if we can harvest some of the sulfurous gunk and other crap that's back there in that hell, which I will not be returning to, thank you. To see if I could probably use some other things to brew up some poison. We shoot them with poison arrows. We hit them with that spell when they're over the river. with both spells when they're over the river range, depending. They plummet, they crash. Hopefully, they drown and die. If not, then well, we have spears and heavy infantry, and we'll just take him that way.
Hopefully they take enough fall damage.
Yeah, hopefully it hurts when they land bad. As for elements, we probably could go around in chanting at least the heavy infantry with. I like the idea of lightning, but especially if we drop it in a river, I think that's great.
Well, I guess the question is do we know if they have any sort of immunity or weakness to anything of a
Yeah,
particular?
Do I know if they have any weaknesses or immunities?
You
I mean, immunities to fire, but
yeah, you know that
weaknesses.
they're immune to fire. You aren't unaware of any weaknesses or vulnerabilities specifically.
Well, I don't have any specifics, but I'm thinking if we take something mostly fire-based and we throw it in a river, and then we zap it, I think it's not gonna get out.
Ice? Do you think ice is better?
Ice could work, but I've
600
seen what
feet
fire
and
does to ice.
30 feet are two very different distances to play with when you're talking about a fire-breathing creature.
Yeah.
I feel like the first is the safest. The ice is a good second, which I have no doubt we'll need to throw out when the time
Yeah.
comes.
Well, we could also hit the. So, question for DM here.
Mm.
If I meta magic fireball into ice ball, does the ice, would the ice potentially adhere to the flame drakes and add to their mass and cause them issues flying? And or if it hit them when they're in the river, would it freeze them into the river and they would have difficulty getting free?
While I think it's fun to play with elements and that sort of thing as flavor and as additional sort of flair, unfortunately, the metamatic skill does not apply additional properties to a spell. It just changes the damage type.
That's what I thought. But if I didn't ask.
I do have an idea, though.
Uh.
Mainly, my spell, it works at long range, but I gotta keep focusing on it. If I knock one out of the air, because there's going to be 3 of them. If I knock one out of the air, once it's on the ground, it's within the ice spell's range. You take over, hold it in place with the ice spell, then I can target the next one.
Aye, that would do.
The problem is how many of these things we have. We know they travel in packs of 3, but how many packs of these do they have?
Well, the idea is if we bulk out our numbers, I think we'll get at least 1 pack. In truth, as the decoy soldiers burn and create a lot of smoke, if there's a bunch of them, I don't see why more than a single pack would bother descending in to see what was up. I mean, we're not presenting as though we have something very, very important or noteworthy, but a large concentration of troops would warrant at least a pack.
If either of their leaders with them were likely expected.
Aye, that's a fair assessment.
I got one final spell. Actually.
I mean, and if they are planning on attempting to take out Hellcorth, while some of them may be engaged in fighting the folks in Hellcorth, we do not know what the situation on the ground is. I mean, the power made troops for Hellcorth may be taking out some of them, or if we're lucky, if we attract their attention, maybe Hellcorth can hit them from behind. If only we had some way to send a message to Hellcorth to let them know that, hey, we kind of have these demons stuck between them and us.
That is an excellent follow-up, but first, I would prefer to down some eyes in the sky, and the other thing is that upon collapse, the flame drakes themselves might yield useful resources which we can turn against our enemies. But once we deal with this, then we can commune with the city and see if we can't figure something to that end out. I'm mostly concerned about us getting to this as quickly as possible without getting set ablaze on the way through.
Now, another question. Do flame drakes, would they melt infernal steel?
That is a good question.
That's your role does not afford you whether or not they would be able to do that.
Okay,
Fair
so
enough.
I need to roll to find that out then.
You
Is
might.
then what you're saying.
That's not what I
And
said, but
Not beyond. That's a bit beyond my purview. I haven't had the luxury of working with much of
well,
that.
but is that something that I could possibly know? Which would also be an Arcana check, right?
well, I don't know what kind of demonic lore you've been educated on based on your character's history. I don't think much. So
Yeah.
I would say if you're going to make that roll, you can make it a disadvantage.
Okay, with Arcana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with guidance, but still disadvantage.
Yes. Yeah, not something you're aware of.
Because we do have that we could use to bolster your defenses with. I know we have some of the squad members were carrying some infernal steel that had been harvested previously. If they're still lugging it along with them.
Additionally, there's something to consider specifically with the enchantments we are planning. That Hadrillium dugout is water aligned. Perhaps in your crafting, you might make use of that attunement.
All right. So here's my plan. We'll set the enchanters to working on something water aligned for the mantlets we'll build. The mantlets being big port. I mean, CJ, I assume you know what a mantlet is.
Yes, I do.
Very good. I love it. I love that. Oh, I say that word and most people stare at me. Anyway, it's a good day. We'll enchant the mantlets with that, maybe some armor pieces if we also have the time for the heavy infantry, because they are going to be our killers on this one, and no mistake. Build the mantlets, build the decoy troops. I'm going to set to work brewing some fire resistance potions, but mostly I also want to brew some poison. The poison will be for the archers. Can anyone...
I can brew. I'm thinking some kind of paralytic or something that'll make them weaker to my spell.
Wonderful. We'll take that. If I can get you on that, then that frees me to focus on coordinating the enchantments, being the weapons and the mantlets.
I can talk to
I-
some of the. Oh, go ahead.
I can only imagine you'll need lots of supplies for this. Maybe you could tell me what things you need, herbs or wood of some kind, and I can go about collecting it for you.
I can. Also mud.
Mud.
Fresh, wet mud. I mean, enchantments are great and all that, but I'm going to be damn near soaking everything in it. I'll take all the assurances I can get. It'll help pack the mantlets as well. Timber for those.
Do we have water handy?
I mean, we're by a river.
We're by a river. We have all
That's
the
what I
water we
thought.
could
It's
ever
like
need.
we have water. I mean, well, I didn't know if we're making these here and transporting them, or if we were traveling and then making them.
So I think that's okay. So that's the other piece of it, right? Is looking at, and CJ, don't quite remember if we're marching to the river crossing. It's about.
You cut out.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 70 miles from here to the river crossing, give or take. And then from there, once we hit the river crossing, it's another 60 miles or so just to hit Helcorth. How many miles can this group march in a day?
So
our normal is. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I believe our normal was 24. We were able to increase it to 30 if I was using all of my spellcraft to provide us with food and floating discs to ride on.
So we're talking 2 days, maybe, at max marching speed just to get to the river crossing. Do we have that kind of time and that much open ground? I don't think so.
So some of the enchanting we can be doing for whoever's riding on some of those disc things.
Indeed. People can do their work while on the discs. Conversely, I don't want to shoot down your plan entirely because I think it is good and probably what we'll end up doing. I was thinking I could use just a lot of my spellcraft right now to ford the river early, and
Yeah.
we know that they're going to target that river crossing. We could try and move. Uh, my staff allows me a near limitless supply of camouflage magics. If we stick close in tight, I can cover all of us, and so we'll look just like a strange looking patch of grass, especially to something so high up. And then we could move instead of around the bend straight as the crow flies, which cuts about 20 miles off our journey.
Yeah, I think the plan is the nuts and bolts of it are solid. It's just a matter of what we're doing, where, and why.
Let's, I do apologize. My mind bends more towards aggressive solutions, but if we can avoid it entirely at this stage, given our primary objective, I think that's wonderful. So we'll do that. We'll still prepare the countermeasures because showing up to a city siege with fire-resistant mantlets when we're facing a bunch of beasties is still going to be useful. But
Going to fight them for sure, but I'm wondering if we can fight them within sight of Hellcorth, we might not be alone.
let's do that then, and then
We do some of the prep work on the way.
and I believe that you. Oh my god, my brain doesn't work. Miss Laia, you mentioned then sending a message to them. I think if we're going to ford the river and get closer and be fighting within sight, that is the perfect time to be sending a
Yeah, the
message to let
question
them
is,
know.
do we have anybody that is able to send a message, though?
Oh,
If you can't, I can send one via some critters. They don't travel instantaneously, but
what about
we're,
the other way on Cypher?
I don't know if that's part of her repertoire. We'll definitely ask.
Uh.
Once we're about 60 miles out, we can get a response basically the next day.
Alright, okay. Let's. Then the synthesis is we ford the river early. We work on the countermeasures we've discussed, expecting a fight. If our luck holds, we can avoid one entirely. If it doesn't, we know what to do. If we are lucky, then we've just arrived at the city even better prepared. Neither of these are bad things.
Now
I suppose it
No.
does come up to what plan the captain wants to follow.
Now, how about a couple cases of devil's advocate here? Just so we can just say we've analyzed all of our alternatives. If we stay on this side of the river, could we not be spotted and maybe go the long way around and approach Hellcorth from the west, where we would not be expected?
The captain pipes up at that immediately. We have lost contact with both Victoriana and with Matronex. There's no guarantee that we have that flank secured.
Okay, so that doesn't help. And or would it be better for us to skirt along the foothills here and see if we can lure off maybe a few of some of those, maybe a party of those flame drakes at a time? If we are able to take care of them, maybe you can whittle down their numbers some and draw some heat off of Hellcorth. But then we do have our VIPs with us that then would make that dangerous.
I would be against it, yeah, because that takes more time away from us completing our mission.
The other difficult thing about the flame drakes is that I unless, and any of you can correct me at any of this point, I don't know whether they're being drawn from the forces surrounding Hellcorth or from some other place. Them being flying creatures, unless we dedicate time to tracking their movements, dangerous again because they're flying. We don't know where they're based out of. They could be up on some peak in the foothills. We would have no way of knowing.
Yeah. Do we
No
have
guarantee we draw
anybody?
anything.
Do we have anybody that has sending? I mean, we could always ask Cypher if he has that ability, but I mean, if we could communicate more rapidly at a distance with Helcorth and get a better idea of the setting, the how things are currently sitting as far as the ground goes. I mean, that would also allow us to coordinate our efforts with the troops in Helcorth. If we had a way that could communicate with them, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if Siphon Shy has that spell or not. Unfortunately, I do not have that one.
The captain chimes in and says, "My intelligence on the state of our defenses is about 2 weeks old. So, last I knew in Delta was that Executor Kovaresh had been attached to the Blade of Endless Suffering. Ekragad the Impaler. No. Yes, Ekragad the Impaler was attached to the Blade of Endless Suffering, and Executor Kovaresh had been part of 2nd Legion Scars of the Void. Before that, they were in different spots. They had been swapped. Executor Kovaresh has been part of the leadership for Tal's crusade here since the beginning, but he's had some stumbles. So we think Kovaresh and Ekragad are at odds. Kovaresh wants to regain his position of superiority amongst the legions of being first executor, and he wants to kind of shift Ekragad out of that spot. So we may be able to, if they're engaging in infighting, which they are wont to do sometimes, we may be able to have an easier time if we skirt kind of closer to where the fighting is, hiding in plain sight, as it were. The other issues that you mentioned, where the Rescivores are based, they're attached to First Legion, as far as we know, which is Tal's, the end of all things, which is a lovely name for something. She says, and they were far-ranging. In Delta, we knew there were going to be flame drakes overhead, and that was a large enough force to sink the Shogun's fleet before it left Delta's harbor, which is why he's with us in the first place. And they were with Ekragad's Legion, the Blade of Endless Suffering. So Tal loans out Rescivore where they're needed, but he has full control over them in general. With that said, but again, my intelligence is 2 weeks old, so I don't know for sure if the western flank has collapsed or not. But I wouldn't rely on the idea of swinging around what with so much open land in the southern reaches anyway. They could have just walked up the Sarkokith and then turned eastward towards the city. The other point here is they're extremely prideful, and they will not step away from a major offensive on Helcorth without conquering the city fully. So we can only expect token resistance or patrols this far north. Now, if a patrol finds us, we should be able to overcome them. But if multiple patrols keep finding us, eventually we'll be whittled down to the point where we will have nobody left. I think a fast option breaking us towards Helcorth is the idea to go with. Now, whether or not we go around the Sarkokith and then head south along the road, or we cut straight for it over the wilderness, is the choice to be made here. There's merits to both. We'll be able to move faster once we hit the road, and so we'll pick up double speed there, but that forgoes all aspects of stealth and will be clearly visible to the enemy as we travel. Over land, over the wilderness, we'll have the advantage of woods here and there and the ability to shift in amongst the channels when the floods come and be able to hide amongst brush and that sort of thing. We may be able to take a more stealthy, though slower approach. So there are merits to both plans. We can always, as we get closer and feel the need, we can adjust as necessary. The thing if we cross the river now is, if we need to, we can cut towards the road, or we can continue on towards Healthcourt. Either way.
It does present us with more options.
That's
No.
I like having more
And we-
options than having just one option.
I agree.
Captain,
Hmm.
given that we have this river here, is there any reason why we wouldn't want to attempt to take some time, build ourselves some rafts, and use the river to help with the transport? Will that get us to the road any faster than traveling than marching there? Could we travel along the river?
Well, I can feel that one. I can feel that actually. Do we have among us any rivermen, any farriers, any boat builders?
The captain shakes her head and says, "No, and that's not without considering the giant river serpents or the piranha that would eat us alive if we disturbed their nesting grounds and such. So
Oh, don't worry about the river serpents. They're friendly.
I don't know about that, Ben, but that seems like a very confident take. I'm going to put that in my back pocket and ask you about it later. My experience, river serpents are best served as either a chowder or as something you stay entirely away from.
Well, if
Maybe you can
eat them,
drown.
Of course, they could be testy.
Maybe you can drown a bunch of flame drakes. We can have that be a peace offering. But in any case, even without taking into account the fauna, which good call, even if we could somehow remedy that entirely, it's trying to get an army that doesn't know anything about boats down a river without any local guides or experts or craft is going to be an even bigger disaster and is going to take us more time. And then the river will take our supplies as well as our troops away. So I am not keen on that.
So I'd rather not have several of our members of our battalion here, what's left of it, drown in an entirely avoidable accident.
In which case, Captain, before we lose too much more daylight, should we work on fording this river?
Well, we do have the little bridge here. We should scout around and see if there's any more
I mentioned the
crossings.
eagles, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
I can,
take some time for that.
basically, Ben describes the process of he can create the several floating discs, conjure an eagle, and because the discs follow him and float over water, fly the eagle back and forth using the discs as a platform to just move everyone across the river and all their supplies across the river quickly.
Yeah, and from a aerial visual, you can see that while you're up in the mountains still, there's plenty of natural cuts and fords to the river up at this altitude that you will be able to pick which side of the river you're on when you get down to the highlands and to the plains. So there's enough bend and cut back and such that you'll be able to choose.
All right.
Okay, so let's go switch back to our lovely camp scene for our beach episode.
So much beach is happening.
So much beach. Look at this glorious beach over here. This guy's having a good time.
He's just doing some fishing. That's just Hop.
That's just Hob doing some fishing. All right. Well, regardless, we should take the evening and have a bit of a break. We all could use it. We'll talk about what my decision is in the morning.
All right.
Like that.
I'm going to go sleep for the next day. And she finds a tent and lays in it. Where's my sleep button? There it is. Okay. The scene is yours, everyone.
I don't have any scenes, but I do have some downtime things I would like to do.
Okay.
Same.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I do have one scene.
Okay.
Ben would like to find Mordecai.
Oh, he's right here. You found him.
Yes. Hi.
Can we talk a moment?
Mordecai is gonna grimace and say, I can guess what
Not
it's
gonna
about.
hit you again.
Sure.
Yeah, well, we might be off the map slightly, just somewhere private,
Okay.
out of earshot.
You find a small copse of trees to hang out in.
Have you? I take it you've not heard from her since the book's gone.
No, I haven't heard anything since we left.
I don't. Can't believe I'm fucking saying this. What the captain said about Akragat and Cobra Rush's forces in fighting is true. And if this lady of yours is inclined to encourage infight, never mind. I can't ask it. I'm sorry.
No, I see what you're getting at. And damned, it's not a bad idea. I should reach out to her anyway, see if I can contact her somehow.
You
I
don't
still,
I mean, you really don't have to.
Ben, I still have these abilities. I haven't escaped her. I'm not free. So, best have an open dialogue than just not know what she's planning, right?
You survive this, I am going to beat her ass for your soul. You know that, right?
I don't know if even that would save my soul at this point, but I appreciate it. You're a good friend, Ben, and I haven't been as much of a friend. I very nearly betrayed the entire party back there. The entire country. God, what was going through my head?
Nothing. That's all right. Like you said, you're a good friend. You can make an insight check.
Who, me?
Who's making that?
I can make an insight. What's that?
Who's inciting who?
I would
Yeah.
say if Mordecai would like to make an insight check against Ben, feel free to.
Sure.
Also,
sure.
when you guys RP whisper, please stage whisper so your mics actually pick it up.
Fair, sorry.
I'm pretty sure the mic got everything. People will have to listen hard, but it should be fine. So, but yeah, if either of you want to make insight checks on each other, that's bad.
That's so rough.
That is the funniest possible outcome. Yeah, nothing. Ben looks like he always does whenever he's looking at you.
Just for
my
the kids at home, what's really going on in Ben's mind while that's happening? If you don't mind sharing.
Mordecai saying "friends" twice crushed his heart into little bitty pieces.
Oh.
You know, Ben, I'm not sure I'd want to play cards with you. You seem very hard to read.
Right.
I appreciate it. I'll be careful, and I'll let you know this time what happens. I'm not going to be sworn to secrecy again. I won't let it happen. But I'll see what I can do. I'll try and convince her to help.
Okay. Let's get to it then.
Hmm.
And yeah, Ben will start getting to his tasks.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn to my group of scouts here and say, "Everybody, make it through the caverns, all right?"
Jaffa looks more winded than usual.
You look like you lost a few pounds, Jaffa.
Not of any hard work on my part. I almost fell into the lava.
Hmm. I'm not trying to get you to lose that much weight.
He kind of just like bristles.
Oh.
I don't know what you want, sir. Do you want me to or want me not to?
I'm kidding with you, Jaffa. You are a big, beautiful man. Um, and at that, I'm gonna retreat to my tent and do exactly what I was telling Ben that I'm going to do, and I'm just gonna try to start like meditating, kind of questing my mind out, see if I can send some thoughts
Into the ether?
I believe they're
into the
called
ether.
prayers with your role.
You know, yeah, you might be right.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna do your best first attempt at praying. Give me a religion check for me, please.
Uh,
God, I love it.
wow.
A -1.
Ah, oh my God! It's
What a
oh
night.
my
What a night.
these rolls.
You don't even know if you're doing it right. You're fairly certain you're doing it wrong.
Um, Demon Lava Lady Catraxia, can you hear me? If you can, give me a sign.
There is no response.
Uh, I can't imagine I can just keep trying and get different rolls.
Negative, sir.
Yeah.
You might just have
that's what I
to
think.
go to bed at some point, not knowing whether or not your prayers were heard.
Damn. Okay. Well, I won't say anything specific in these prayers besides just trying to contact her and miserably failing for a few hours before falling asleep next to Crow.
Sure. Okay. Let's see here. Eliana, Lillian, and Mythlaya. Anything you guys want to talk about scene-wise? Because we've had a scene between Ben and Mordecai, so I just want to give everybody equal opportunity.
I mentioned to Lillian that if we do end up enchanting some things, I did pick up some enchanting abilities from my former mentor, and I would be more than glad to help out with that in any way that I can.
All right, we'll put you to work. Do you prefer working with armor or weapons?
Don't know if it really matters. They all seem to behave about the same.
Right. Do you want to work with the water enchantment or do you want to work with the lightning?
I don't have much experience with strange materials, especially if you're going to use the hydrolium into the water enchantment. So I
Right.
will probably help more with the lightning enchantment.
All right. And to be clear, while everybody else has a beach day, Lillian is coordinating everybody who's able to do enchantment, everybody who's able to help out, make the potions that she's brewing up, and she's like coordinating. So she will walk you over to where the lines are being set up, basically.
Sure, yeah. So from a practical standpoint, we're discussing upgrading the troops. Yeah.
Hmm.
So how that works is moving into the elite status, because all squads right now are at veteran status, requires the expenditure of a supply point for each unit. So that's a total of 5 supply points need to be consumed, so that you can upgrade them all to elite status. Elite status is a sizable benefit. Most units receive magical weapons at that
Very
point.
good.
So that's basically what we're discussing right now. So,
Yes.
for example, heavy infantry elite jump from 55 hit points to 96
Ooh.
for each soldier.
Jesus.
So that's what is that in a squad of 4, which is what
I think it's a squad of 5.
it's normally a squad of 5. You've got 4 because you're a lieutenant.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I have to cut one of my guys. Oh, that's so sad. Okay, that's fine.
Did you send me a list of their names? Because I kind of
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot. I filled in names. These are your boys over here.
Yes.
But I forgot what their names were, so I just put in filler names.
It's okay.
So we'll fix that. But yeah, heavy infantry elite each has 96 hit points. So that's at the large scale battle level. Each one of them counts for 9 hit points for the squad. So that's what? That's 36 hit points without including you, Eliana, which is beefy at that level. They also have magical weapons for starters, so that will help a lot because when you're doing combat against demons and such, a lot of them just resist slashing and such without magic. So some of them are straight up immune to non-magical weapons. So a lot of the other squads get sizable bonuses as well when they move up to elite status, such as the medic squad gains. Each individual will have, the medic will have 88 hit points on regular status. They'll have battlefield medicine, which will get updated to 1d8 plus 3 hit points for the squad. Medic squads are usually 3 light infantry and 2 medics, but I think it's a little bit of a different spread for Ben's team.
It's, I believe, mechanically they've not been doing any fighting.
Yes.
We have 2 medics, technically 1 heavy infantry and 2 light.
Right. For the ranged squad, ranged infantry elites are 88 hit points on the individual level, and they've got longbows and short swords, so they upgrade in that fashion. Scouts, which I think is Mordecai's squad, 64 hit points on the individual level.
That's right.
Their ambush is about the same, I think. Yeah.
Maybe.
But their ranged weapons and their melee squad weapons do more damage, and they have studded leather armor instead of just, I believe, regular leather armor.
Nice.
So, yeah, big bonuses. They will get upgraded. Their tokens will get upgraded when that's done between sessions. And so you guys have to decide if that's what you want to
How
spend
about
your...
the
Oh, the mage unit. The mage unit. Will you have support squad?
I have a support mage? Yep.
Okay, so they'll have fog cloud and silence, and the mage themselves has 64 hit points. So, but the squad consists of 4 light infantry and 1 mage. So.
And then Mordecai, before you go off to sleep, you might want to, or then in the morning or whatever, might want to look around and see if there are any, have your scouts look and see if there are any supplies around here.
Well,
that was actually my next thought.
Well, let me finish what I was going over. So you have as a unit 25 supply points in the bank right now, which is not a bad position to be in. That would, if you were to upgrade your squads now, you would have 20 left over, which will give you a lot of supplies to handle magical weapons and armor and that sort of thing. A lot of it room for enchantment. Travel will take a number of supply points for the battalion per day. So that's where you have to kind of suss out like how much you're willing to spend versus how much you're possibly taking in. I know we were looking at the map just a little while ago. All of that area is basically plains. So there aren't forests to deal with for foraging. There aren't, you're on the one mountain tile that you're going to be on, no matter which way you go west. So basically, it's going to be on the river tiles. You get a +2 to your die size, and with plain, it's a D6, so it would be a D8 for your foraging skill, Mordecai. If you're on the river tiles while you're doing it. Otherwise, if you're on the plain tiles, it's the D6. Does that follow?
Okay. Yes, I think so.
So like 3.5 per tile, and then 4.5 for the river tile, roughly on the expected value.
Okay.
Unless you roll incredibly horribly.
Which
All right. So what I was thinking of doing, because I do still need to, I think Mordecai would still try to spend the night trying to contact the Catraxia.
Okay.
Can I send the scouts out on their own and see if they can find anything in the meantime?
Sure, yes. This would be on a mountain tile
Yeah.
and with a +2 on the river. So,
Yeah.
and just so you guys are aware, you guys are a battalion, but you're made up of 5 squads. So you require 5. You have an attrition of 5 supply points every day. So for him to keep you guys in the black, he would have to roll a 5 or better with the squad. Your squad's current forage for supply skill adds a +2 to the end of your roll. So it's a what I say? It's a D8 +2.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
We also always had the good berry from Ben available to us if necessary to help out with that as well, right?
It's not really enough to like fully feed everybody. I don't recall. What is it? It's a first level spell, right? Am I confused? Good berry. Good berry.
I remember Ben was able to create a shit ton of them before. So.
First level spell, 10 berries. You have 5 squads, so that's about 25 people. Plus 4 is 29. Plus 1, 2, 3 is 32. So he could burn 3 of his first level spells to make enough good berries for everybody. But that would be 3 of his first level spells.
If we ended up in a bad spot, we wouldn't necessarily starve.
No. So Mordecai, do you want to make that supply roll for your boys?
That I do. So it'd be a 1d8 +2.
Yes, you get a +2 on the die size. You're
Mhm.
on mountain right now. You get a +2 from the river modifier. So that's a D8, and you get a D8 +2 because of their veterancy. So.
E.
Oh.
Ooh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Potato salad. All right, so that takes you guys up to 33 3 supply points right now. So you got a lot of leeway to work with. I'm going to go ahead and just rebalance you. So it's plus 2, 27.
Then unless the rest of we have other party members that think otherwise, I would vote that we should spend the 5 supply points and upgrade the squads, especially given that we are expecting a decent amount of resistance in our jaunt to Hellcorth here.
Yeah, 1000%.
Okay, with that, if that's the consensus, I'll deduct those and I'll write it down for my notes so I can convert them after the session.
But could we have done that before Mordecai? Would that have given Mordecai a slightly better bonus on his roll than just a +2, though?
I'm not going to retroactive that. Besides, it takes time for them to be equipped, and they're not equipped yet, so it doesn't make any
that's fine.
logistical sense either. So
yeah, if you don't ask, you don't know.
Well, you don't know, but sometimes you do get penalized. I'm kidding. I don't penalize for asking questions. Yeah, so because of the order of events, there's no way he could make a roll today at elite level.
Okay.
It's impossible. So
But then on future days, he will get to roll at elite level, though, correct?
yeah, possibly. Depends on how long it takes to outfit. So
Okay.
So you guys are spending that, so supply points are now down to 22. That's with the daily attrition already, and your roll from your squad. So okay. So as far as enchantments go, so you're all aware, common enchantments, so things like +1s and that sort of thing. Enchantments of that level are 2 supply points each. Enchantments of a higher rarity than that increases by 1 supply point up until we're hitting, I believe, very rare, in which case it becomes exponential. So to kind of illustrate what that looks like, a regular short bow doesn't have a rarity, but when you change it to a +1 short bow, it becomes a common rarity short bow, right? And then uncommon would be 3 supply points. Rare is 4 supply points. Very rare is 8. Legendary is 16. And artifact is not attainable. So that's how the rate climbs. So once you get up to, you cross the Rubicon of rare to very rare, it becomes exponential. So it just starts doubling. What is this?
And how do we know the rarity of items that we currently have?
For example, Shale Sunderer is a artifact. I don't know if I actually coded that properly. No, I didn't even put it on there. You're an artifact, Shale Sunderer. Congratulations. Whereas Magma Cutter is a rare weapon. So, +3, 2d6 fire damage. Magma Cut or Shell Sunderer, on the other hand, just as to help illustrate the difference, Shell Sunderer has 2d6 thunder damage, and it's got an extra special ability called Wave Crash. It also deals 10 damage on top of everything against constructs made from solid materials, and also bypasses damage thresholds for structural targets like buildings, constructs, vehicles. So you know how, like, when a large object says you have to deal at least 10 damage to deal any damage to this, Shell Sunder negates that requirement outright. So you're already doing full damage against it, and then on top of that, you're doing 10 extra because it's a construct or what have you. So that's kind of the difference we're talking about here when it comes to like weapons. Armor, the rarity climbs way faster. So +1 armor is already at rare. And anything higher than that, we're talking very rare or better. So if you're talking like something that is resistance, has like fire resistance, that's going to be rare quality, because that's just one bonus. But a +1 fire resisting suit of armor would put you in very rare territory, and it would climb after that. So fire immune armor, that's legendary. That's going to take a lot, almost all of your supply points.
But what about my my already Featherlight scale?
That's that's just a regular uncommon or common enchantment. So
Okay, so that's not horrible in terms of if I wanted to +1 it. And my Mace of Warding, however, is a is that one
well, that would be
what,
the same as whatever a regular weapon of warning is, which is uncommon.
okay, so uncommon. Okay, so both those are uncommon.
Okay, so that's the logistics of all that. You guys can kind of figure out what you would like to do. You've got a lot of supply points to kind of consider what you want to do with them. I don't really want this session to be math and accounting 100% of the time.
No,
So
that's fair.
yeah, so that's something you guys can figure out how you want to do your expenditures between sessions, and they'll get applied before your next session. So, you know, narrative and role play. So, Lillian, you're coordinating the effort to, make poison arrows, build mantlets, enchant weapons and armor, basically upgrade the troops, doing everything that a quartermaster should be doing in this sort of downtime space, organizing the supplies, making sure everybody's cared for and good to go and all that sort of stuff. Eliana, you are, by virtue of the captain being asleep, in command. So
Great.
we're gonna loop back to you in a moment. Mithlaya, you're doing the enchanting portion of that work because you are one of the few people here who can enchant things in that fashion. So
Yep, and at some point I introduce myself to the squad, given that I'm the replacement sergeant for the squad. So
yeah, and
I assume I have to break the news to them, and hopefully they're not too heartbroken and
they already know.
etc.
They were already
Okay.
told. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, they're a little. I think the best word for it is they're nonchalant and non-committal about you. It seems. Um, you know, it could be because you're new. It could be for a bunch of different reasons. If you'd like to insight check them, you can. But that's up to you.
Yep, I will insight check them. I was also noticing it claims I am attuned to 2 items at the moment. I'm trying to figure out what my second item I'm attuned to is.
Your Mace of Warning and your Rod of Shielding.
Okay, the rod of shielding doesn't say it needs attunement in the description at least.
No, it requires attunement.
Okay, yeah, okay, there I see. Yep, so I will insight check them. And although my insight's horrible, so I will give myself guidance.
that item did not convert properly with the new version. You think that they think that you're gonna die, and they don't want to get to know you right now, because they're pretty
Okay.
sure you're gonna die. It's the whole replacement theory in the army, where the replacements aren't as veteran, and they don't know when to duck and that kind of thing. So they're fairly certain you're gonna get killed, and they're not really about getting to know you right now,
Okay.
because you're fresh. So, and that's a well documented phenomena in military settings.
Yeah, that was kind of expected.
So, so yeah, they're a little bit standoffish. They're not really trying to get to know you or anything. They do follow orders, but sort of at the same time, a lot of it's like, are you sure you really want to tell us to do that as opposed to this instead? And usually they're offering you the better alternative. They don't seem to be shirking responsibility or anything like that. So you made a decent enough insight check that they seem to be willing, ready, and able to do their jobs. But they do not trust that you understand what their jobs are and how to best go about them. So this is a situation where you are relying on them to better inform you on how to be in charge of them. So
Okay. Makes sense. And I'm assuming I could, since this would count as a bit of a short rest, I could arcane recovery back my spell slot, correct?
we're heading towards a long rest. So
Okay, so I don't even gotta worry about that then.
yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Ben, I know you wanted to do a thing. There's a
A
downtime activity you wanted to do.
a few things. One, there was the last third of the last bit of studying a spell scroll.
Ah, yes. Let's see. Do we have that spell scroll in your inventory?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sword Rain. That's right. What does my house rule say? Because I forgot. Let's see. Non-wizards spend a number of long rests studying the documents so they can learn the spell. The level of the spell dictates how many long rests and how high the DC is for learning it. Let's see. DC increases by 1 for every level up to 3rd. 4th and higher, DC increases by 2 for each spell, level 5 through 9. So this is 3rd level spell. It goes from 12, 13, 14, 15. So you're an Arcana check, level DC 15.
Yep. And I've made the I've done 2/3 of it, or two of the 3 long rests already.
I see that. Yes.
Yep, and then that's a spell I could just copy, right?
No, it consumes the scroll when he's learned it.
I do have 2. We did get 2 of those spell scrolls.
Yes, so you could copy the spare.
Yeah, because I remember the previous me was working on learning the other one, but
Go ahead and make your roll
Unfortunately-
there, Ben. There we go. Okay, very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and move that over. Sword Rain.
then what do I need to do to learn the other one?
So you are a wizard. You need to spend supply points to do so, because that would be your gold component. So basically, it's an amount of time plus an appropriate amount of supply points. So did that go to your? It did. Okay, great. So let's just burn your scroll there. Bye-bye, scroll. So normally it's an amount of gold up, which is dictated by the level. In this case, we'll call it 3 supply points to learn a 3rd level spell, and it will take you all night.
So I will ask the friendly rest of the folks, is it worth spending the time and effort to learn, given that it is a shared resource we're spending?
I mean, I'm the only other person, I believe, who can cast that spell. I've just learned it, so having another person who can use it is not a bad idea.
Yeah. So unless anyone complains about it, I will happily learn that spell, even though it costs us 3 supply points to do so. That cuts into our enchantment somewhat, but sword grain might be useful on our demonic friends and air quotes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds fine.
I mean, it's a fireball of swords.
Okay, so I'll do that then.
Okay. So, yeah.
So feel free to toss that over on my sheet whenever it's convenient for you. It's not time critical in any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, I'll get there.
I know.
Current supply points are now 19.
I know you're good for it.
Do you? Okay.
Yes, because I will happily remind you if you don't.
Okay. No, I don't want to create a scroll. Fuck this whole sheet. I hate the new sheets. They suck. Okay. There you go. Let me fix that. Okay, so that's Ben. That's your evening activity.
The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to. I believe we rounded it out. It takes all of my first level spell slots to provide enough food for the entire battalion,
Almost.
so that
yeah.
we can conserve. We don't have to spend supply points on feeding everyone today.
That'll refund you 5 supply points. So yes, you could do that.
Nice.
Okay. See, we're still counting. All right. Anything else from a downtime activity sort of standpoint?
If possible,
Mm-hmm.
if I have time, just to start thinking about it, the water hydrilium, the smaller water hydrilium piece that I kept for, I would like to start just looking into it and seeing if it would be possible to use a combination of shape, water, and plant growth to try and incorporate it into my staff.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and make an Arcana check for me. Very good. So, you know that hydrilium is a very magically conductive material. Crystal, it's usually a crystal, and the density of the crystal can determine how it's used. This one's kind of brittle in that it more likens itself to becoming a fine powder, but so is dirt, right? So you have the magical means of putting it on your staff and sort of having the staff kind of grow roots around it like you would some earth, and basically have the staff draw some power from the crystal itself. So what that effect is, you're fairly certain it will empower your spells. So essentially what this will do is everything that you cast with it will be as if it is cast a level higher for free.
Awesome.
So if you cast something at first level, it's actually second level. JK, not first level.
Incredible.
Yeah. However, if your staff runs out of energy, the crystal turns to dust.
Right.
So,
to clarify, is that any spell I cast through the staff, or only the spells on the list of the staff?
only the spells on the list of the staff. The staff itself is empowered, not you.
Okay.
If you want to really snort that hydrilium powder, you can give that a go, but I'm not sure that's something you want to do. Why is your... Oh, never mind. That's I had a filter on it. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Yeah, if you really want to, ride that tiger, feel free to give that a shot. But,
Fair.
what you asked is, can I put it in my staff? And that's, with a 27, that's your answer.
For sure, for sure. Okay.
Okay. Eliana, Miss in charge, because we know Mordecai's praying, and Ben's avoiding mixing chemicals for Lillian, but he's got 2 other people to mix chemicals for him. So, Eliana, what are you doing, Ms. ostensibly in charge?
Yeah, I think what I'd actually like to do first is check in on my squatties, because it's been a hot minute since I've seen them.
Okay.
And I know that they are across the water, so kind of just get a sense of how they're doing, as well as checking in on. I'm assuming they're finding out why they're over there in the first place, honestly.
Guys, what the fuck? Okay. Let me see. I need to scroll up and find their names.
Yes, I have the sheet up if you want it.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be easier for me instead of trying to hunt it down.
I pulled it up before the session because I also didn't remember what any of that were named.
Okay. So 1,
I had
2.
put 5 guys in there. If I only have the 4, I'd probably cut this one.
Okay.
And that probably leaves me where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let me just pop this over here on this monitor and hope that doesn't show up on stream. It doesn't. Technology is wonderful. Okay. So let me just real quick fix these guys' names. Okay. So the guy you're standing right in front of, this one right here, is Werner.
My guy, yeah.
Yep, that's your guy, Mr. Werner. He sees you coming, straightens up, salutes. This one's Colin. This one's Certus. Over here. And by process of elimination, this one's Ithra.
Very cool. Very good. I guess on approach, when Werner straightens up, Eliana will nod at him and go, "At ease. You guys make it through the caldera all right? No scrapes, nothing to report home about?"
Bit of a sweat fest, but otherwise okay, ma'am.
And what's got the lot of you over on this side of the river?
Well, Captain positioned us over here just to make sure there was nothing horrible to assault us in the sleep, as it were. Otherwise, we would be happily sharing a nice fire over there, but... Sorry, he's choking. One of the guys is like...
Oh no!
That was Odie who decided he wanted to hack up along instead. So Werner says, so we kind of got posted over here, just like those guys, and he points over at the Ranger squad. So we picked the spot with the logs that we could sit on and the fires so that we could at least see when it gets dark.
Is there a plan to relieve the lot of you? Switch out at one point tonight?
We're extremely understaffed, so we'll just sleep in shifts.
All right. Anything I can bring, make sure it gets sent over your way or over to the Ranger squad over on the other bank?
Sure, we'll keep in touch. I'll send Colin over here to demand succor and supply. Colin kind of just straightens up. He's kind of, you know, he's
little.
This is his first war, and you can tell.
Yeah, he's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. Certus looks like he just is real tired. He's just so tired.
Yeah. I think Eliana will wink at Colin then and go, I'm sure the quartermaster will have no trouble with you demanding succor of any kind, Colin.
He blushes incredibly. He is a brand new shade of red.
Which was the goal, so that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. If the four of you are all right down here, I'll go check on the rest of the men up the shore. But if you need anything, you know where to find me.
They nod and they go ahead and get settled in.
Cool. And then I'll do the same kind of patrol, I guess, up to the rangers up on the overbank, make sure that they haven't seen anything. These are the ones that traveled. So these guys would have traveled with us, right? Because this is the squad
Yes.
that Lillian led. Okay.
That's correct. This is the squad that Lillian is now in charge of. So we have.
Okay.
Now I don't know if I can't remember if Lillian furnished me with names for the squaddies. I don't recall.
I sure did not.
All right. Well, they have names already, so that's great.
Cool.
Stop it! Stop trying to make me attached. Damn it!
So we got over here. Let's see. Let's pick one first. I gotta kind of shift them around so I can see their names. This one's Terran. Terran Mist Splitter. This one here is Alexia Wheatflow. This one over here is Elida Redstream. This is a mostly female-heavy crew. This one's Brom Cromwell, and this one's Althalos Fenwick. You guys just call him Fen. So it's 3 ladies and a pair of gentlemen. So the gentlemen over here, and the ladies are these 3.
Very nice. Very nice. Similar round of questions, just trying to make sure that they are all good. If they need any supplies immediately, if they've seen anything, just kind of trying to get a state of the state.
Yeah, they report that they're good. They were posted here because this is what passes for the high ground over here on this side of things, and they are just getting comfy cozy.
Oh, very good. All right. I think with that, Eliana will probably head back to the regular camp. I think it's kind of walking up in the regular camp, knowing that there's a lot going on with the other, with Lillian and the rest of the folks kind of working through enchantments. Captain's asleep. I think it's kind of the realization of like, she's in charge, but doesn't really know what to do with herself at this moment. So a little bit paralyzed by choice there, but I think what that probably leads into is rather than sitting down or taking a rest, I think she might actually try to do a little bit of like training or a little bit of like exercises before the day ends. So I would love to actually just do some training rolls if we have the time for that before the end of the night.
Sure, you can dedicate this day's downtime to training if you would like.
Hell yeah.
So what would you like to train? Because you have several options.
Can you run me through? There's a feat that I think I'm trying to work towards.
Oh, well, that didn't fucking save. Let me try to mentally recall what it was.
I had already finished Pole Master. I was going to try to get a separate feat, so this is completely not new. I haven't rolled anything for it yet.
Oh, okay. Phew! I thought something fell through the cracks there for a moment.
No. There's a specific feat that I want to get, so that's definitely one I want to be rolling for.
All right, so what's the feature?
I would like to add Sentinel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to rolling on that. Let's do. Let's make that a skill check. Let's make that athletics check. This is your what? Second extra feature. Right?
Correct.
Because
yes.
you've got Polearm Master, you got Great Weapon Master. You're level 6, so only one of those could have come from an ASI.
No, actually,
Wait.
fighters get an additional ASI at level 6.
Oh. But didn't you take stats?
I think I took Great Weapon Master and a stat.
Yes, that sounds
That is
right.
what I did. That is what I did.
Okay, so this would be your second earned feature.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So completion target is 300 points.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. So go ahead and if you go to your downtime tab and you click on the little button next to Sentinel, one that turns into a dice or a die, it should do the thing for you.
Oh, this is so slick. Okay, yeah. Strength.
It's an athletics check.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. A nice 20. See, that takes you up 7%.
Cool. Do I only roll the one?
You only roll once a day.
Sweet. That's what I thought. Cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm working towards that.
Okay. So any sort of narrative scenes anyone wants to have with anyone before we switch to the evening hours?
None for me.
None for you?
I think we're good.
Okay. Okay. Now I have separate music for nighttime. I think I want to do this one. Yeah, this one. Okay. So, as the hours wane on and darkness seeps into the camp, the captain remains asleep, quiet in her tent. The squads of soldiers have settled into their positions. They've started small cook fires, and they have basically set themselves up with small tents and the like for sleeping in shifts. As you all sort of look about at the camp and see what has become of the battalion, it sort of hits you that you have made it through a gauntlet, and yet there is another one ahead of you. And there is little comfort in what you are coming to face, despite what is behind you. Now that you are no longer in a confined area, you don't exactly know where the enemy is at all times. Before, they were just behind, constantly nipping at your heels. Even inside the mountains, you knew that they could not have been far behind. Now that you're out in the wilderness again, they could be anywhere. And the night is their time, when darkness overcomes everything. A chill settles in, and it is colder than usual up here in the hills, away from the low-lying plains and the river valley. And in the great distance, as you all look towards the southwest, here and there, you see little light flares in the great distance. And that sets the scene for this evening.
As the liability of lights becomes more and more pressing, Ben is going to just move around the camp and say to anyone who's not sort of like actively using a fire to do something, to extinguish it. We don't need, if everyone's been eating good berries, we don't need them for cooking, so we need far fewer fires, just to minimize our light presence on the horizon.
Okay. This family, did you include them in your Goodberry haul or no?
Yes, the number comes out to a little more than is needed, so they are fed.
So they will happily extinguish their fire, feeling more secure in that you all are here, and they will happily go to bed without remaining up.
Ben has two sort of little things he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
First would be to approach Sci-Fi and say, we've tried to keep you two out of this as much as possible.
Stage whisper.
Sorry. We've tried to keep you two out of this as much as possible. But, do you know how to send messages over long distances?
As far as spellcraft goes, not specifically, no. That is not a skill that I possess, though it is. You're aware that messages on the wind can sometimes be carried, regardless of formal spell. I am a little tapped, but I could give it a try. Unfortunately, there's no telling who would be able to pluck it from the wellspring. So it is a incredible gamble.
It's a risk we don't need just now. You're right. The other thing, and he looks to Matsumoto as well. The two of you are our mission. And everything goes to shit. It's my job to make sure that you two get there. But I'll need your help to do it. If things take a turn for the worse, I'm gonna need your help, Sci-Fi. You can turn invisible, right?
I can.
And I presume, given your knowledge of magic and other spells I've seen you cast, you can turn other people invisible.
Just the one. I can just turn the one person invisible. Or creature.
Have you tried turning multiple things invisible?
No, I haven't. I've only really used it to save my own hide. But yes, I haven't tried to turn more than one person invisible at a time.
I don't believe it's a matter of raw strength. That lightning you conjure is way more taxing. Would you be willing to try practicing it for me?
I suppose, she says. So am I, like, trying to cast it on myself and you, or
Ben is going to sort of like reach into his cloak and pull out two mice. Two animals, actually.
Oh, okay. So she looks at them both and puts her hands on them. And
if she's making any kind of check, I will offer guidance.
She's not making a check. She has the spell Greater Invisibility, but she does not have invisibility. So she cannot cast it on multiple creatures at a time. She can cast it on one. So it's kind of the cannon before the gun kind of problem, where she can really make something super invisible, but she can't make more than one thing invisible. So as she tries to do so, she casts her spell, and one of the mice completely disappears. The other one is fully visible. And she looks at you and is a little frustrated.
It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry. I actually can solve this problem. You see, this is our plan. If things are going south, I'm going to conjure an eagle. It'll be big enough to carry both you and me in a smaller form.
Okay. And she looks at Matsumoto.
You turn that eagle invisible. Anything a creature's carrying while they're invisible also becomes invisible. Hence, all three of us gain the benefit of turning invisible.
Okay, so gotcha. So you become the eagle. Wait, no.
I conjure an eagle.
You conjure the eagle. We
You
become...
turn it invisible, it swoops us all up and gets us towards Hellcorth.
Okay, so you conjure an eagle. I turn the eagle invisible. Eagle gathers us. We become invisible. And then it flies us to Hellcorth.
Indubitably.
Okay. Okay, and that's the plan if everything goes to shit?
Yes.
Do we have a... How are we going to know when things have gone enough to shit before for this to be the plan? For this to be the thing we're doing?
Let's make a code word.
Okay.
Say, chalice.
The Shogun says, that is not a word I can say.
Fair enough. What would you like the word to be?
Papaya. No one
Papaya.
accidentally says papaya.
All right. If things look real bad, one of us shouts papaya, Captain's aware of the situation, I'll get us out of there. We get you to Hellcorth, we get you to your proper places in battle. You understand?
She says, yes, I understand.
All right. I'm glad you're both okay.
She says, I'm just glad to be breathing free air again. And I want to thank all of you for making that possible.
Of course. It ain't just our job. At which point Ben will sort of step away and I would do the other thing, but if anyone else wants to do something first, go for it.
Sure. As you walk away, she puts her hand over the warm coals here and snuffs it with some frost. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to do or say?
I want to go check on Lillian and kind of what's going on with the enchanting stuff, but that can be more of like a narrative scene, Lee, if you had something that you wanted to do beforehand.
Mine's also just a little narrative scene.
So I think as night starts to fall and it gets dark, first of all, unless anyone's using it, I would also like...
You cut out again.
Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting that I have to hold down push to talk. I would like to snuff the fire that's kind of here in the main area. Yeah, great. And I'll go get the one over here as well, unless anybody's using it.
Sci-Fish kind of steps forward and says, I think we should leave that one just so people know that there's the river there and they don't accidentally fall into the river and die.
Good call. Nope, good call. We can leave that one, Rhino. That makes total sense. So I think from there, what I'll do is I'll go and check in on Lillian and see how Lillian's making out with some of the enchantment work.
Sure.
Lillian, where are you?
I can't see. I'm human.
I mean, I was over with wherever all of the work is being done for all the shit that we need to get done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of get over to you that way. What is Lillian doing when Eliana walks up?
I think she's just going over some of her. It's clear that the work's proceeding at pace, and she's just going over her own kind of alchemy set, I guess, just distilling things.
Eliana will kind of knock on, if she's in a tent or something, just kind of knock on kind of one of the wood poles just to get her attention.
Yes, Lieutenant.
Everything making out okay in terms of what you need to do?
It's clear enough,
But do you look like you're gonna make it on time?
It'll be made on time. Don't worry about it, Lieutenant.
Is there anything I can do to help?
Not yet. Nothing springs to mind. You holding up okay?
Holding up fine. Have you even gotten any sleep?
Here and there. I'll get a few more before the night's done.
All right. Did did the boys across the river ever come through for rations, anything?
I don't know, did they?
Yes, so Mordecai's squad did bring back
Mhm.
plenty of supplies.
Very good. Mordecai's lot will keep us well fed and well supplied.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Um is is there anything I could do with just anything I could do to help just with my hands?
You're not sleeping either, I suspect.
No.
Dreams again?
Sure. Yeah, worried about them. I mean, can you blame me?
No. You didn't drop a binding book into a lava flow, so no, I can't blame you.
I can't say that that's something I'm carrying around on my back, no. But no, I don't think I'll be getting a lot of sleep. And I think if I keep circling the camp, I'll lose my mind, actually. So anything that you need done, not tying anything, happy to help.
You know what I think we all need?
Yes?
I think we need our lieutenant to be properly rested so that she can make the right calls that she needs to make.
Captain's still out. So
Oh, I like the dead.
it seems like one of us should be up and about.
Is that a tactical decision or is that a can't sit still decision?
Be a little bit of both, can't it?
I suppose.
I think if Lillian isn't gonna break, isn't gonna uh welcome the helping hands, Eliana's will sigh and kind of duck her way back out of the tent.
Or she does, Lillian says, it wasn't your fault.
Excuse me?
What happened? It wasn't your fault.
What happened at the crag, you mean? I'm not stupid enough to think it was any one person's fault.
Right? And yet you're still bothering me while I'm tinkering away. When you know full well I'd sooner throw this in the river than let you clunk around in it, right? And she gestures at her alchemy set.
Fair enough.
It wasn't your fault.
I appreciate it, Lillian. I think I'll be in the main area of camp if you need me.
As you were, Lieutenant.
And Eliana will kind of settle in around the dying embers of the fire, and pointedly does not head back into her tent, but is at least kind of settled in there to the main area of the camp.
Lillian's just gonna keep working.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Other narrative scenes?
No chance I can try to speak with Catraxia again, or is that for the whole night?
No. That's
Yeah.
not for the no. That's not for the whole night. If you'd like to do that now, we certainly can.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Mordecai sent the scouts out and said he'd be busy doing something important, and so he's gonna keep trying to do that important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't roll a 1 again, I swear to God. It gave me 2 1s, but it's an 11, so that's alright.
Okay. So while you're praying, you're kind of figuring out how all this works, right? This is really your first foray into this sort of religious experience. You're not even sure if it's really a religious experience either. Certainly, there's some kind of connection going on, but it's touch and go. It's dubious at best, right? You're not really sure when you fell asleep, but you're pretty sure you did at some point because in your dream, you're stepping through an opulent hallway and you hear laughter and jovial sounds of celebration. You hear the cackling of someone just losing themselves in the punchline of a joke. You hear the sounds of bells, little jingle bells, music, dancing, that sort of stuff. And you come to a door at the very end of this long hallway. You notice the floor is opalescent, marble, many colors running through it. And you're at the end of this, and you're looking at this door on the other end.
Well, Mordecai, whenever he's confronted with something that's probably a bad idea, he just stumbles into that shit. Reading the book, hell yeah. So he's gonna just wander on forward, and he's gonna push his way through the door.
You step up to the door, and you believe when you were approaching it that it was gold banded, some kind of like ash gray wood or something like that. But as you touch it, the material is more porous than wood, and it reminds you a bit like coral or maybe bone. So you push the door inwards, and your vision is full of just the most opulent idea of what a royal court looks like. And proportions make you feel tiny, like you're an ant. There's all of these chairs arrayed in a half circle around this massive throne that is further in. Above it, there is a large glass dome that is full of stained glass, arrayed in geometric patterns, fractals, and sequences that betray a sort of twisting movement. The light is filtered through all of this glass and all of these windows of this quality, and around you are pale, sort of lithe figures, long white hair for most of them, dark eyes with bright red irises and such, or bright purple or bright blue as you're looking around. You don't feel threatened here. Many of them are engaged in various forms of distraction or debauchery. You're pretty sure there's a drinking contest going on in one of the sides areas, but the figures are all drinking from, a skull that is so large it doesn't make any sense, and it's like this deeply purple wine that they're drinking. Um, and as you're stepping through, and this is sort of you don't really have a whole lot of control in this dream. You're noticing that you're kind of walking along, but you want to spend more time looking at all the weird and interesting stuff that's happening all around you. Was there something that you wanted to like inspect mentally, or have some introspection, or that sort of thing, while you're moving along through
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, do any of them notice me, or do they just kind of go about what they're doing?
They seem to like acknowledge that you're there, but they pay you no heed.
Uh, Mordecai is going to be very, very awkward about this because he just spent like how many years in the forest away from any kind of civilization, and here he is in a decadent throne room surrounded by riches beyond his wildest dreams, and just probably isn't gonna feel like he belongs, but he's gonna push forward because he has to,
Okay.
and uh, he's gonna call out, Catraxia.
As you call out, there's sort of a kind of lull in the thrum, but it picks up back again, and you feel a presence come up behind you and wrap her arm around you like she's done many times before in your hallucinations. And she appears next to you and leans in and says, "You didn't think I would leave you alone, did you?"
Hmm. Where am I?
"Oh, this is Vilam Valam. You're here on, let's call it a day pass. Or more like a night pass. You fell asleep. Something that happens to mortals like yourself, rendering you entirely helpless." And
So I dreaming this?
sort of. It's more like a out of body experience. You're still back there in that tiny hut, tiny tent, praying your little heart away, but you're also here now. You're here now because I can be here whenever I want. And you're with me.
Hmm. What happened in the caves? What was all of that?
When you threw the book in the magma?
Yes.
Well, you might recall a conversation you had with your captain a while ago about such relics and books that held such entities as myself trapped within them. And the only way to really set those entities free into the world is to destroy those objects. Yes?
It,
That's why
you
she cautioned you to not destroy your book. That's why when you've tried before, it didn't work. You just didn't have enough to be able to destroy it. But you did. You managed it. Just like I knew you would eventually. You let me out of my prison. And we're all very thankful to you for doing that. And she kind of steps away from you, turning to walk away from you backwards while gesturing at the rest of the court. And as she does so, she gets bigger and bigger to more deific proportion and sits in a chair, not quite the throne, but a chair off to the right of the throne, lounging as she finalizes her sweeping gesture to all of the beings in the room with you. And they're all turning towards you, lifting their cups, clapping their hands. You're hearing a dull sort of cheer as she says this.
All right. You're free now. What does that mean?
It means we're back on the board. Vilam Valam, the High Court, we're back on the board. We're not on the sidelines where Nahemoth wants us to be. See, his little game, well, he's got a one-track mind. He's all about his sorrow and his doom and how everyone should be dragged into that pit of his to suffer with him for all eternity. We're not going to go quietly into his little pit. That is not something that we would enjoy. It is against the mandate of our goddess. So, getting back on the board means that we can do something about it. I'll let you in a little secret, Mordecai. You want to know how I know all of what's already happened and all of what's going to happen?
I nod my head.
Well, it doesn't really have anything to do with you specifically. You see, when you draw back the lens far enough, you'll notice that we've all been making the same steps that we've made before. Little differences here and there. But all of this has happened before. All of it's going to happen again. And it will continue happening over and over again until his little tantrum is over. Until he's finally satisfied.
This idea of time being cyclical, is that a common thought or common thing?
No, that's not
No.
a common theory at all. It's their understanding of time, your understanding of time is that it's linear. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
That it's linear and that there's no sort of loop to it. There's no like way to see into the future, because how could you? It hasn't happened yet, you know?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So this is a thought that, like, if it's true, is going to give you an existential crisis.
You're saying that I've done all of this before.
No. I said there are minor differences here and there. You're a minor difference, Mordecai. But minor differences add up. You might recall before you ran into that, we'll call her an elf. She's not really, but we'll call her one just for the sake of discussion. You might recall that elf you came across in the swamps. You know, the one that was blown away by your former quartermaster and then got up like nothing happened and then waltzed right into the spectral realm. You remember that, yeah?
I can't forget it.
Right. So, she mentioned something as well.
I remember.
Yes?
I remember. She said something about this all happening before as well.
Mm-hmm.
Were you freed before?
I was in your pocket before, Mordecai. I was in the book. And I had been in the book for a very long time. A very, very long time. until you came along, finally, and picked me up. So no, I haven't been active before this. Not for a very long time. Not since that silly little scribe, anyway.
Do I remember what she's talking about with the scribe?
You can make a history check if you'd like.
Yeah.
This is a very high DC, though. No, you don't know who she's referencing. There are a lot of authors, a lot of scribes. Who cares, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure what all of this means, but it sounds like you're a bit of a wild card at the moment.
That's the idea.
Nemoth is...
You're there. You get it. You get it. And this is why we were hoping you would come along sooner rather than later. It's a little late in the hour for it. We're, unfortunately, closer to the end than we'd like to be. But we can't win them all. And now that I'm free, it doesn't matter how close to the end we are. We are on the board again, finally. So...
I have an idea
Oh!
of a way that you can hinder Nemoth.
I love it when you little mortals have your fun little ideas. Clue me in.
There are two factions in his army nearby. Perhaps you could turn them against each other so that we can get into the city without too much trouble.
You're asking a lot, Mordecai. You're asking me to go subvert Kovarash and Ekragad? That's a lot. It's a big favor.
I freed you. That's... At this point, don't you owe me?
That is an interesting thought. Let's walk this through. So, saved your life more than once. Saved the lives of all of your friends, your entire battalion. Led you out of harm's way more than once. All you did was throw a book into some magma and free me. Well, I suppose we'll call that extremely important because I do enjoy being free. Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
Okay.
You might want to use your bonus if the rest of the group is okay with it.
Definitely.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
Yes. What was the bonus again?
Well, we've already used the +3, so it's a +2. So this takes us to 11.
11. You have to understand, though, this was... How long were you locked away if I hadn't come along? Besides, won't this be fun for you?
Well, you certainly have an understanding of the things that drive me, Mordecai. Fun is very high on the list. I'll think about it. But in the meantime, there's something that I'd like for you to do. And we'll see where that goes. Our good friend, the captain, is sleeping right now. Now, unbeknownst to her, and unbeknownst to the rest of your battalion, you are being spied upon. There is someone in the camp who's been reporting on where you guys are to Ekragad at all times. One of you knows who it is, but doesn't know that they're a traitor.
This... It can't be. We already had the quartermaster.
You have to
Can you tell
figure
me
out.
anything else?
Nah, the only other thing I can tell you is you have to figure out who is supposed to be here but isn't right now. Who is
In camp?
in camp? Who is supposed to be here but isn't here right now?
I've got to go look. I've got to go look right now. How do I go back?
We have a party to attend to for now, but I think I can let you go back in a few hours. How about that?
This, but if they're not in camp now, they can come back by the time I get back.
That's the idea, you idiot. Come, let's have some fun. Have you ever skinned a man before? And your dreams turn down a very dark path.
Oh, jeez.
You awaken sometime in the night, right about now, while everyone is more or less doing what they had been doing before in your tent in a cold sweat, shaking.
I'm going to just immediately, in a frenzy, get up, stumble out of my tent, and just start looking around the camp.
Okay.
Trying to mentally, categorize everyone, see if I can find anyone missing.
Sure, while you're doing that, we're going to switch over to Ben because he wanted to do a narrative thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Ben is going to look up at the stars for the first time in who knows how long. And move to the water's edge and sort of like, as a reflecting pool, shape a mirrored bowl out of water
Mm-hmm.
and cast augury.
Okay, go ahead and spend the spell.
I think, in addition to the normal sort of stuff, is my augury spell. There it is. I'll be ritually casting it.
Of course.
I think the question Ben is asking is, should I? Has to be next 30 minutes, huh?
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you describe what you're trying to do, and we'll see if that's
think
something you can.
More generally, Ben is just the last time he tried to connect to the Star Dragon was when Nahemoth intervened. So he's going to try and connect again, hopefully free of that influence, and just look for any kind of guidance, really.
Would you say Ben is in a desperate state of mind?
I think there's scales of desperation.
Yes.
I think he's been desperate since the recruiters showed up at his door.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say he's desperate but hopeful.
Okay. So searching for that connection to something somewhere up there, anything really, Star Dragon, some kind of divine or deific influence, some kind of light in the storm, right?
A guiding star, more or less.
Yeah. So reaching up, using the waters as a reflecting pool. They run, but they're clear enough. You're looking down, you can see in the reflection of the water the rings And off the tip of the rings, you do see that there is an object floating out there, a star that is traversing that space. Hadn't been there before. Looking at the constellation, it's not quite in the dragon, but it's moving towards it.
I guess given Ben's knowledge of constellations, could he recognize this as maybe like ahead of the Hydra constellation, or is this something new?
This appears to be a head of the Hydra. That makes the most sense to me. I believe. Let me check my chart again. Now I'm second guessing.
Fair.
Constellations. Oh, no. Come here. Thank you. Yes. No, I had that right. Yes, that is ahead of the Hydra.
Ben, I suppose, doesn't fully know what the Hydra is. Is there any interpretation he can glean from this appearance?
Here's where we're going to be making a check. You're not religiously educated. You're not, you don't have proficiency in that. You have some like natural world education from your mother, but a lot of that has to do with the land itself and has not that much to do with the sky. Your big thing with this is that the Hydra's got a bunch of heads. They move all the time, and a lot of diviners are reliant on like where the Hydra's heads are moving to and what that means, because that's like your entrails kind of divining sort of thing, smoke and mirrors kind of shit. And you're wondering if that actually has some weight here as you're looking up. So go ahead. I want you to make me a wisdom check.
Right.
Oh my, is that a natural 20?
That is a natural 20.
Okay. So it comes to you almost like you can see the path in your mind, as if you were one of the gods carving the land yourself, right? You're familiar with those legends of how the gods made the land. They made every plant, they made every mountain, they carved this riverbed by hand, right? That's something that you're familiar with in the history of your world. And suddenly it becomes very clear to you that the Hydra this head of the Hydra moving out of its own constellation space towards the dragon means it's moving into a no man's land. It's moving into a space that isn't reserved for one constellation or another. It's wild sky, to be clear about that. And it seems like a decision. It lines up with one of the decisions that the captain was considering, moving across the wild land towards that safety, which you equate to as the dragon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to line up almost perfectly. Like that is the way you should go. You can see it in your mind, traversing over the land itself towards the city. And that's what it means to you as soon as you have a moment to think about it. Hydra is wild and dangerous, and it moves about in unpredictable ways. moving ahead into uncontrolled space is fairly clear. It seems like that's the path to go, especially in this moment, searching for hope in your desperation.
That actually is so comforting to Ben. He almost starts to cry. And he was sort of holding the water into this mirror bowl with the shape water cantrip, and it just splashes away. And he just sort of, yeah, weeps a bit on the riverbank before making his way back into the camp proper.
Okay. Is that your narrative beat?
Yes.
Okay. I believe someone we haven't checked in with is Mithlaya.
Yeah. So I had a couple quick things. One of them should be hopefully fairly quick. But I was going to go have a chat with Cypher Shy. We
Okay.
had a few spare moments. I can boo myself over there in just a moment, but otherwise it's like, okay, well, I haven't seen many of our fellow survivors, former prisoners, whatever you might call us, really over the time that we've been out. So it's kind of odd running into a fellow former prisoner of that horrible place.
So you're talking to her about this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna move you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was trying to accomplish that. I was like, where am I? Where's she at? Let me do myself. Thank you for that.
Yeah. She says, many of us scattered to the wind after we were brought back here. Though I'm surprised you're here in this battalion with these people and you don't know Sekutai. He's one of us, and I would thought you would have known the commander's aide.
Well, I haven't been around here long. I kind of was a lost soul for a while, and I happened to run into, I believe, from a discussion I had with some of the other folks, the former quartermaster of this group, and luckily, he pretty much kept me from doing something that would have been incredibly rash and stupid.
Right.
So unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to make Sekutai's acquaintance.
Right. Well, I mean, he's been with the battalion since we got separated at Delta. I'm not sure where he is right now, but he's been with us for a while. I'm surprised you don't know him. But that's not the point. To answer you, like I said, we're scattered. There are not a lot of us, and we more or less have been taken in by various people, some of this country and some of our own.
So how did you end up in this on this journey? I'm assuming you must have been in Delta at the time when everything went down.
But yes, Delta was taking in all sorts of refugees. It was one of the closest cities in the south and was accessible. It's where many of my people wound up, the Cheyennes, and that's where I wound up, and that's how I wound up here.
By and large, I mean, the people that you encounter, I mean, I'm assuming Delta was at least a welcoming place.
More or less. They didn't have housing for all of us. That was a problem. But there was enough land outside the city, because it was generally undeveloped, because it's a swamp, for us to build a camp. We had a nice camp there for a while until the enemy caught up with us. Well, we were well accommodated. We had work and we had our needs met. Corinthians were kind to us in that fashion, of course. You know what they say. They're always happy to take in the flotsam of the world, especially in times of great need like this.
How do you deal with all of the ordinary everyday people looking at you like you're going to eat their children or curse their flocks or things of that sort?
I've been lucky enough to not run into that sort of behavior. Um, so I wouldn't know how to deal with that at all. Um, so I don't think your experience is singular, but I don't know anything about it.
It seems like we've had possibly diametrically opposite experiences so far, and I hope you don't end up having one like I had, or
No.
like I've had.
It sounds like you had a rough time.
Oh, it's nice to be in the company of others who understand.
Well, you will find no shortage of suffering among the Corinthians here in their army. So if you're looking for company in that respect, you're surrounded by it. As for us, I would rather not talk about the prison. It is not a place I want to remember.
Is there some trick to not remembering, though, to not
No,
having recurring nightmares of the place?
no, you just do your best, like everyone else in these times. We all have our fair share, some of us more than most. But you do your best.
Well, good night to you, and hopefully we all get through this safely, and maybe we'll be able to eventually spend happy times together and get to know each other in times of non-insane war and
That would
all
be
of those
nice.
things. So, with that, Mythlia goes back to her tent and does something that she hasn't done in quite some time, ever since she left home. And remembers that at one point she did have these skills for inquiring of Musi and her guidance and etc. And given that it is semi-dark, it's not quite twilight, but it's still dark, decides to attempt a prayer of her own
Okay.
for some sort of guidance or some sort of that we can all be protected. Like, how should we go about proceeding? Is there any guidance that we can be given? Any protection we can be given from
Is there a me-
the forces that are allied against us?
is there a mechanic specifically you're engaging with, or is this just prayers?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay, so
I'm not sure if there is a specific mechanic for it.
okay, so go ahead and make a religion check.
It's like I know I'm not like the best follower of that, but I did have some at one point in time. That's the family that took me in, and all of those nice things.
Okay. Um, you know that Musi is not one of those deities that promises protection or promises much of anything other than that the movements of the heaven will continue in their way as has always been and always will be. The sun will rise every day, it will set every day, the moons will move in their fashion. to an exact measure. And she's the goddess of the hours, and so there is what you don't find is an answer, but what you do find is comfort in reflecting that whether or not you continue to exist, the movement of the spheres will continue to happen, and that permanence is something that you can rely on. And that if you can strive to be permanent in that sort of way, at the very least, in a fashion that renders yourself immutable, as in finding habit or finding ritual that is immutable, you will have some kind of stability like that of the heavens, and that would give you comfort in these times. And so, you're kind of refinding your religion after almost throwing it away.
Yep.
So,
Well, when you're staring in the face of a horde of demons and you're your destination, well, desperate times call for desperate measures,
yes.
and I think that's a good place for sleeping.
Okay. So you go to bed.
Yep.
We'll say this tent's yours.
But I think my squad is up on the top of the map, so I can sleep here or up there, either one.
Okay. Well, I have just enough tents for the sergeants. So.
Okay.
All right. Before we boomerang back to Mordecai's thing, I know we're getting a little bit close to time. First, let me ask: does anyone mind if we continue for a little bit past 11?
I think as long as we don't go later than like 11:20-ish, I should be good.
Okay.
Same.
All right.
I'm fine.
So before we boomerang back to Mordecai, is there anyone else who wants to do a narrative moment?
I think we're good.
Okay. So Mordecai, you have woken. You've clambered out of your tent. You're looking around. You look like a wild, crazy man. You're drenched in cold sweat. Everybody's kind of standing right here, except Mithlai's gone to bed.
Yeah, I think Lillian might be like off in a tent somewhere, but I think I've been sitting here, and I think Ben is walking back up.
Pick a tent, Lillian. That one. Okay.
I choose that tent.
This tent, it has a lot of room. You can do all kinds of science in it.
I'm doing dark alchemies in here. That's not even a bit. I literally am.
Yeah. Alchemy in the dark. Okay. So yeah, you two see him come out of the tent, wild, crazy-eyed, covered in cold sweat. You might not see that, but he's glistening. So yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
So my first immediate fear is that it's one of my groups. So I immediately start running down and make sure everybody's in their tents, like pulling open tent flaps, calling names in the middle of the night. Jaffa, Hub, Kella, Metwick, Garrett. Oh God.
Yeah, you come down this little hill here and you see your guys are more or less they sleep in the wilderness a lot of the time, unless it's like a formal camp situation. They'll just kind of find a nice patch of grass and lay down. That's kind of what happened here. They were expecting to get up and move, and when you start coming down the side of the hill and you start like rabidly like waking them up, they're getting up. They're getting ready to draw steel. They're all on high alert. What's going on, sir? What's going on?
Perimeter of the camp. Watch for anyone coming in. If anyone comes towards the camp, even from our own group, let me know.
And they acknowledge and they move on. I'm gonna move Kala over here. Kala over here. Checks in with the boys.
Did you say camp or cap?
Netwick.
Our camp.
Camp. Okay.
Hmm. And now my second fear is that someone in like our group is the traitor. So I'm happy to see Ben. You know, I started.
So important point
Yeah.
of order. Once your troops have dispersed, and as Mordecai starts to go off all wild-eyed and sweaty and giving orders and talking about perimeters, just when he takes a moment to stop, something nags around his ankle.
I'm gonna look down and try to figure out what just caught me.
Lillian jerks her whip and like hauls Mordecai to the ground.
Can I do something to resist this?
I believe you should.
You can try,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
let's call this a Lillian, you need to make an attack roll, I think.
Yeah, I'm cool to do that.
Yeah. Just the attack roll. Let's see if it can meet or beat his armor class.
Come on, whip, roll. There you go. Come on. You're not gonna roll for me?
Coax it.
Nope.
Offer it a sacrifice.
What do I gotta do to make you do your one fucking job? Come on.
Did you click on the icon?
Yeah.
Why is it always your stuff that's hopelessly broken?
Oh, oh, maybe because I'm out of reach. Where did Mordecai go?
He's right here.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
It's just dark.
It could be because
Right.
you're the targeting thing. Anyway,
Which brings up a question, since it's so dark.
You keep saying I'm out of reach, so I don't know what that is, because this weapon has reach. That was why I took it. Oh, there we go.
that's because
Yeah.
I just made it do that. There you go.
Oh,
A 12.
not great.
No,
That does not hit.
you miss, unfortunately. 12 does not.
Who earns? Well,
So
the rapier's out.
imagine- The rapier's out. Oh shit.
The rapier's out.
I imagine I feel the whip kind of snap against my shin lightly as it misses, and I turn around and see you with your sword out. This is not the time, Lillian.
This is not the time, Mordecai. Can I be explicitly and deliciously clear with you, since the captain's asleep and the lieutenant is off lieutenanting?
I'm right here. I don't know
are
what
you
you're
right here?
talking about.
I can't see your icon.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Well, anyway, well, fuck all that then. I've had enough of your fucking shit. Your possessed, fucking demon-touched shit. So now you're running around in the middle of the night, wide-eyed. The last time I saw you get weird, you threw a fucking binding vessel into lava. So, yes, this is the time. What are you doing?
I can't explain how I know. You just need to
that's
trust me.
wonderful.
Someone in this camp is a traitor, or rather someone that is not in this camp that should be in the camp. We need to find whoever is supposed to be here but not.
All right, so here's the deal, right? And I look around and I see Ben and everyone else, and I think when Lillian sees Ben, she sighs, and she looks at you, Mordecai, and she says, "Oh, I don't trust you. See, if it were up to me, you and I would be having a very different conversation right now. But off chance that you're right, Ben, you've worked with Sergeant Mordecai, correct?
Have.
Maybe you have some greater context."
Ben will look at Mordecai.
And we talked about this. This is exactly what we talked about just before I went to bed.
Oh,
You
great.
trust me,
hand-
right?
I handed out the good berries today to everyone. Who didn't I hand out a good berry to?
So you recall a youth who had been with you all for pretty much the entire time.
Yeah,
from
the aide.
Yep, the aide since Delta. You have not seen him since you went into the temple.
The commander's aide. The captain's aide, rather. Uh, I, come to think of it, haven't seen him since the temple. Since before Lillian and uh, Eliana showed up.
We've got to find him. Does he have a tent around here? Maybe Crow could sniff him out if we find one of his things.
His stuff was always with the commanders, or the captains.
Ugh. Someone will have to wake the commander then.
Lillian's off like a shot.
What? What if we ask one of the some of the squatties who were here with the rest of the battalion while we were in the mountain to see when he was last seen? Like, was he last seen coming through, or was he last seen before we even got through the temple?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna grab the nearest scout, who looks like it is this gentleman over here by the bridge.
Old Hob?
Yeah, Old Hob indeed. I'm gonna
That's
ask Old
lovely.
Hob.
Ben's gonna run to his squad and ask them.
Actually,
You scare the pants off Old Hob, who was casually peeing into the ravine.
Oh god.
Hilarious.
And he says, "Oh, sorry. What?"
It's all right. We're looking for the commander's aide. Young boy came through with the rest of the battalion.
Yeah.
Do you know when you last saw him?
That Inferni kid, not the gal, but the boy. Yeah. Haven't seen. Oh, now I think about it, I haven't seen him in a while. Last I saw him, it was before camp broke, and we were heading into the mountain, into the temple. That was the last I saw him. And when we were passing through the mountain as a group, I don't remember seeing him at all. It's odd. Unless he went his own way, which that would be crazy. Why would you do that? Something must have happened to him in the dark, in the mountains.
All right. Thank you very much. If you see anything, bring it back towards the captain's tent.
He nods.
And I'll go group up with the others, heading for the captain's tent.
Sure. I assume, Lillian, you have woken the captain.
Oh yeah. Well, first she enters, because here's the thing: everybody keeps forgetting that I have dark vision, but I have dark vision. So first she like kind of peeks in there, like rapier moving the flap aside, like ready to intercept in case there's some little shit about to knife our captain in her sleep.
She is in one of those unceremonious sleeping positions, dead to the world. She's barely got, like, she's shed all of her armor. She's in her bedroll like a snug bug, like one leg all the way out of the bedroll, just kind of like off at an odd angle, sleeping as soundly as can be. Nobody else in the tent.
Lillian groans internally, and then she kicks the captain's foot.
She wakes and says, "Well, since I don't hear screaming..."
Captain, where is your aide?
"I don't have an aide." Are you asking about the commander's aide?"
Sorry, the commander's aide. Yeah, my bad. That's on me.
"I haven't seen him since Delta, I don't think. Why can't I remember the last time I saw him? I can't remember the last time I saw him."
Because we've been infiltrated.
"Find him, and if he's here, bring him if he doesn't resist. If he does resist, kill him immediately, without question. Fucking
Understood.
find that kid and kill him.
Aye.
Captain, do we have any of his possessions nearby? Anything at all that might still be in the camp?
I couldn't tell you what is or isn't his because I can't even remember what his face looks like. And
Can I roll an
Yeah.
Arcana check to see if I know anything about that sort of fuckery?
Sure, go ahead.
Because this is advanced fuckery.
Advanced fuckery. Fuckery, level 200.
Oh my
What?
god! What was that?
Oof.
What kind of roll?
It's a 1 in 400 chance to suck that bad.
You have some of the worst rolling luck of anyone I've ever met.
That's because I play Warhammer. It's just I need to throw a lot of dice before some of them start to stick.
That's as low as you can go without immediately failing, and it's still not great. Hoo boy. So here's the answer to your question. Some kind of magical fuckery happened before you even got on to the scene. So you've got no idea what kind of fuckery happened to begin with. It could be a charm spell, it could be a memory wipe, it could be a variety of things. You don't even know where to begin. Because it could be so many things, so you have a very encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of horrible shit, right?
Yeah.
Because you have such a vast wealth of knowledge of all this horrible shit that could be done to a person magically or via monsters and whatnot, this could be anything. And so you are paralyzed by choice. I think that's a good point to stop with this sort of cliffhanger, is what we'll call it. A little bit of a cliffhanger here. I know that draws a lot of rage and ire in my general direction, but it is a facet of good storytelling. So I think we're gonna hold here for the evening. Where is my fucking pause key? There it is. Hold here for the evening, and we will be back. And I think that is on the 13th. So unfortunately, 3 weeks because of the way the calendar falls. So, hope everybody had a good time, and I hope to see everyone again for this campaign in 3 weeks. And I want to thank those who donated channel points today for the next session. Wonderful of you all to do so. And we used both bonuses for this session, so no last-minute dice fuckery. So, with that, we'll go ahead and step out and say good night and sweet dreams, everybody.